public folders are on a source Exchange 2003 or 2007. This is what you're going to use for legacy Exchange public folders. If it's Exchange 2010 and above, then you're going to use the Mage public folder agent, and we configure that using PowerShell commands. It's much more efficient. It's a little more work to configure in some ways, but it's much more efficient and will move your public folders across. This legacy agents have multiple agents. It has a total of 6 agents to work, and the new one has 1 agent. The Mage is a single agent, so it's much more efficient and definitely recommended. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to cancel this. We are not going to set up a public folders, but there it is. Again, you understand for anything source related that's 2003, 2007, you're going to use legacy agents. If not, you're going to use a Mage agent. Okay. All right, so we'll just cancel that. The next thing you may want to do for coexistence too is your calendar synchronization first for the exact same reasons of public folders. People are operating out of both sides often, so they need to see people's calendars. But we don't reach across. So we don't reach across organization is what I mean to say, in that if somebody is operating out of the target because they've been moved over, they won't see, or they can't reach back to a source Exchange organization to see that person's free busy information. So what we do is a calendar synchronization, and we get that information across to both sides, back and forth as needed, uh, so that people can see that information regardless of which side they're operating out of. Okay. So you might want to set up that calendar synchronization up first. And it won't migrate any mail, just the calendar, but it does create a mailbox. The mailbox is created, and then later when you set up a mailbox collection, it will recognize the mailbox already there and then just fill in the mail. Okay, so adding a collection. Here's the first thing. You get this wizard to tell you what's supported, what it's capable of doing. So right out of the gate, you can see that it detects what I have placed in here for source and target exchange. That's why it didn't highlight this, because it knows that I didn't hook up to the cloud. I didn't set my target exchange to the cloud. So this gets grayed out. The same as this one. It's detecting that, okay, your exchange versions, in my case, are both 2016 source and target. It detects that and says, well, this is the only option for you. So, okay, so I don't have a cloud option and I don't have a legacy option. Now, to show details, this will go even further to show you what you can do. So, and from which exchange servers. Okay, so I can do anything 2003 to 2007, all the way to 2013, 2016, or 2010 to 2016 exchange versions to 2010, 2019, or source 2019 to exchange 2019, all on-prem. Okay, so that's all on-prem stuff, nothing cloud related at this time. And that's how you know. You can point out when somebody wants to know, or you can go to the system requirements and access guide, which will also tell you what's supported. Okay. So we're just going to, we didn't install any agents yet, so I'm just going to talk about this, but I'm going to install the agent first. So we'll just close that now, and we'll move on to the mailbox synchronization. And this typically is going to be the final collection you make. And note, you don't have to set up a calendar synchronization. A mail synchronization will migrate everything, including calendar information. Mailbox synchronization is all-inclusive because mailboxes are all-inclusive. Calendar synchronization, the reason to set this up is because, one, you may just want to get that calendar data over there very quickly because people are operating out of there, and you need it there first before migrating, say, mailboxes that are gigs in size, and it would take too long. The other thing is you may have resource mailboxes, and resource mailboxes are going to get migrated in calendar collections only because they are synchronized in both directions. They're two-way sync all the time for the same reason that people may be operating at both sides simultaneously, and they need to have access to that information, because if somebody in the target is adding information into that resource mailbox, it has to go back to the source, and vice versa. If someone's adding information from the source, it's got to get over to the target. So that's where you're going to do resource mailboxes. Okay. Free busy synchronization. This is very dated. You do not use this anymore. This is back in 2003, 2007 days, but after that it's completely phased out because free busy information is completely contained within a mailbox. It used to be separated out in the 2003 days, part of public folders and Yeah, just a different mechanism. So we needed this, but this is obsolete. Don't use it today for any reason. Do not use this. It should be removed from the console so that people don't mistake trying to set up these synchronization jobs. The only reason you're going to use it is if you go back and you're migrating from a 2003. Well, no, you're not even going to do that anymore because Mage handles that. So this is completely obsolete now. Okay, so just consider that gone. Okay, so we've talked about all these, how to set them up, and we will set one up soon. But first, we're going to say, okay, we need an agent. We need an agent that's going to speak to both source exchange and then migrate my mail over to my target exchange. So a mage agent is what we're going to do. So I go to agent management. That's where I can handle that. And you can register a new agent host here as well. I know we did that up and under the source exchange org or target exchange org. You can do it there, but you can also do it here. Okay. You also have a show log panel. I prefer to right click on my agent and say view log, and that pulls down a copy. But you can show the log panel down here, and it will show real time. Every once in a while, it updates showing you the logs. It's a little more cumbersome to go here and look at it. It's easier to pull down a full copy of it and use Notepad++ on it. So I always keep this off because it causes delays in the updates for the interface here and everything, and it's just a bit cumbersome. Okay. All right, so yeah, I'm just going to add the agent so you can just assign the role. Now, I already put a mage agent, you can see here, on this server. So I already have one agent on there. But you can go and say, you know what, I want to put, these are legacy here. And then there's a native move. And I want to put mail source calendar. That's weird that the mail. Oh, let me highlight that. Okay, there we go. Assign role. Add agents for role. Oh, it's not there. Oh, yes, that's not there because I already installed it. The role's already on there. So then, sorry, I just got a little sidetracked there. If you were going to repair agents, mailbox synchronization, so you could come here, repair. No, I'm going to cancel that. Sorry. Uh, so let me just revoke role. There's the unified messaging. It's a little strange that it doesn't show where I can add more roles because you can have say up to 10 mage agents on a host and 10 calendar agents, so a total of 20 agents. Okay. All right, so there it just removed it. And then you'll see when you go back to assign role, say, we can say, okay, so there it is, mailbox synchronization role. So I'm just going to go back. That's how I do it. Now, this is a screen I was actually looking for that should have appeared over there, but for some reason it didn't. All right, so that's fine. So I can say, it'll tell me how many's already installed, and then to install, I can put up to 2, say. 2 or 10 or whatever I want there, and maybe I want the calendar. I can do that at the same time, so I'm just going to put one calendar in. And native move, you also have the ability for that, but that's really rare. And native move mage is really just a wrapper for the PowerShell commands and is not used that much. Exchange native moves have become more powerful now, and a lot of people are using native move to get things done. It's a little harder to manage large migrations with native move, but people can use it quite effectively for small migrations of mailboxes. Okay, so this will install 2 agents of mail and 1 agent of calendar. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Assign those roles to this particular server. This is the server 1, APO1. So you click the apply button and let it execute. And we can see over here under agent management, while we're waiting for that to all go in, you can see where you can start all agents, stop all agents, refresh the agent status, and you can remove them from the database if you want. Or remove the agent host, I guess in this case is what that's saying. Something you'll rarely do, but And you can show associated collections with a particular agent, which sometimes comes in handy because if you get a lot of agents in there and a lot of collections, it will become very difficult to manage if you don't know where to find these things when you're looking for a collection. Gather support information will reach out to a system and gather information about that particular host. That was big in the legacy days. I'm not even sure if it still works. I haven't used it, and it's not something that's used very much. The Mage Agent log captures all the information you need. So gathering that information about the agent host is very, very rare. It's not something you're typically going to use. Okay, so we see 3 checkboxes. Everything went in successfully. Just say finish. And there you are. My agents showed up down below. So I highlight my host again. So these are my 3 agents. And you'll notice if I select these other hosts, exchangers, they disappear because there are no agents on those particular computers. Okay. So here we go. So I've got my 3 agents. And when I want to look at a log, these 2 started and this one stopped, Unified Mail Sync 1. And so this one started by default. So if I want to look at a log, I say open log this way. I right click on it, say open log, and I use Notepad++ on it. This opened with Notepad, but that's just for talking sake. Okay, and this is where you're going to track down everything. You'll just search through here for information on your mailboxes. You see here the M, that stands for mailbox, and when it's not directly speaking to a mailbox, it's just doing stuff, it'll say M dash. So right now it's just speaking to the SQL database. It's getting lined up. It's no mailboxes are in a collection, so there's nothing for it to do, and it's not going to identify any mailbox yet. Okay, so it's just M dash so far, but that's how you'll track a mailbox. And in something like Notepad++, you can go through and say this says M60 or something for your mailbox. Then you can just say find every line of M60, and that will show you what's happening for that particular mailbox. Because there's a lot of mailboxes that are going to be coursing through this log, and you need to be able to separate out the lines quickly, and Notepad++ will do that for you, or one of the other good editors. Okay, so we'll just close that down. That's how you get the log. We don't use the show log panel because it's more cumbersome and harder to use. And okay, agent management. All right, so now let's go back and start to say or look towards making a collection. Let's do a calendar sync. So we'll just right click on it, add a calendar synchronization. Now we have to set up the pairings between one source and one target organization at first. So it shows me what my options are because the rest are grayed out because it realizes, detects what I can and cannot do. All right, I come in here and basically it's just my Exchange org and the Active Directory account. Sometimes it's different, but you can select this box to say just use the same one as being used for Exchange, and then it will use the same one that you're using for Active Directory. So I'm just going to go through and Exchange organization and my target, right? And say next again. And agent host server. So this is okay. If there's no agent installed on there that I'm going to set up, then it's going to set it up for me. Yeah. Okay. And the credentials for it. Okay. So just next it through, and it's going to populate the SQL database with this new pairing. Just apply. Update the database. Agent out is already installed. If it wasn't, it would roll through the whole assigning a role and create the job, and it's completed. So now I have a pairing from source organization to target organization, but I still have no collections. All I have is this pairing, source to target. Now these are not they're both labeled that because that's what they did in the lab, which is kind of horrible. But normally this would be the name of your source and your target. So it would be much more discernible in that case. All right, so now we just say, all right, now I have a pairing source to target, so I want to add a collection to it and get my calendar sync flowing between these two sides or these two Exchange organizations. So I'm just going to call it my calendar sync. All right, and you can put a description in there. I want to enable the collection and enable two-way synchronization for this collection for resource mailboxes only. For if you remember what I spoke about, when people are adding to a mailbox on both sides, then it has to be a two-way sync. But a normal calendar sync for a user mailbox is only ever getting data put into it on one side. If the user is operating out of the source, he's only adding to his source calendar. So what we do is the calendar agent recognizes that and knows that the user is operating out of the source, so it just pushes data to the target. But no data ever comes back from the target because it doesn't need to.